Hey, Scott.
Hey, I can see and hear you now. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Good right now.
Good right now. What happened?
I'm suffering from like too many projects, so I just had like a mini anxiety attack, but this happens and then I gotta just choose like which project to hone in on. Because like too many projects is a recipe for chaos within your mind. And
Absolutely.
you know what I mean? Like I'm sure you know because you're managing you're a media marketer. Is that your what the job title is for you?
I am a marketing and social media manager is my technical title, but yeah, that's basically what I'm
Okay.
doing. But
Okay,
yeah, but
gotcha.
are you good to talk? Do you need like to take a
No,
beat?
I
Because I
think I'm
totally
good. I
get it
think I'm
and
good.
your mental health comes first.
Yeah, no, it's not like anything I haven't experienced before, and it's actually good when this happens because now I have to like prioritize what I actually want to put all my time and energy into.
Yeah, I
So
get
I
that.
just gotta, list it out and choose one thing. And because I don't like, because you do just too many projects, each one turns out not your best work. And then it seems
Yeah.
like you suck at everything, but you don't. You just gotta choose one and put all your energy toward that.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I've been there. I
no.
get that.
Yeah, I'm
It's
good.
a lot right now.
Yeah. But yeah, I guess real quick, what I do is I just introduce, or I let my person that I'm interviewing introduce themselves real quick, just so viewers have a sense of who you are and how your work is related to conservation and all that. So if you
Sure.
want, you can go ahead and do that.
Do that? Okay. Hello, my name is Lauren Belcher. I am in the EE program with Project Dragonfly at Miami University. I'm also, or I guess it's not the EE program, but whatever. I'm also working as a marketing, and now I forgot my job title that I had to say it. I'm
Oh, you're good.
working as a social media and marketing manager for Green Philly, which is a sustainable news outlet here in Philadelphia. So I do a lot of their writing for newsletters. I help with events. I do social media, um, lots of different things like that. But my main focus right now is school. Um, but yeah, also working hard on the side. So I understand the concept
Yeah.
of too many things at once.
Yeah, but it's like a challenge that I feel like we can overcome as creators. But yeah, greenphilly.news, is that the Instagram page?
Green Philly underscore news is the Instagram handle. Yeah.
Okay. I found one
Or
called Green
is it
Philly.
dot?
Yeah, I saw one that looked
LOL.
like a dot.
Yeah, no,
17
you're right.
followers. Okay. Okay, yeah.
You're
I just
right.
wanted to make sure because I follow you guys, but
Oh, thank you.
the algorithm rarely shows me your guys' stuff. I have to like go to the page to see stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, it is
that is
Green
very cool.
Philly period news. All of our handles are not the same, unfortunately, because someone snagged them, but they're like some random person.
Okay.
So I think I was thinking of a different one, but yes, you are right. It
Okay.
is at greenphilly.news if you want to see some of the social media work I do.
Yeah.
A lot of what I do is try to make sustainability accessible to everyone because sometimes it can seem like sustainability and being green and all that stuff is kind of marketed in a very expensive way or is like you have to, it's expensive to do,
Mhm.
but it's not really. So there's a lot of things that we can do. So my organization, we work on making it more accessible for people.
Okay, gotcha. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Greenphilly.news. Yeah, I will have to like I dove into the page after I met you on the EE after I came back, but I want to know more because I like organizations like that.
Oh yeah. Cool. Yeah, I'm hoping I like what it's doing right now. A lot. I'm looking forward to not having schoolwork on top of it so that my because you get this, like my creative mind can't go fully into it as much as I would like to.
Yeah.
Um, just because I don't have space in my brain.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I had to really ask myself, like, what are the type of videos that I really loved, like I got lost in creating?
Mhm.
Because now, like, the results are so immediate with social media that you get trapped in, like, how can I get more views? But that's not the
Yes.
question we should be asking. So it's been tricky, but like I'm glad I recognized that because
Yeah.
you can go down a completely wrong path. Like so when I asked myself, what are the videos that I just got completely lost in creating? Like I enjoyed the topics so much, and it was the videos on my channel that were about like species documentary videos. Like
Mhm.
my third and second most highest videos, or second, third, and fourth most highest videos. I really love making those. And he got like 16K views because I think my passion really like shined through there. Um,
Yep.
you know what I mean? So now I'm at like this crossroads in my career, like of which direction I want to head as a creator. Because you know my passion's about like regenerative farming and
Hmm.
ecological farming, but it's so hard to tie that into like wildlife and nature because it seems like they're not related. So
Hmm.
I've just been making scripts and then reading them over and just seeing how it would sound like in a video, and it's just not
Yeah.
working right now. So I gotta just write more and until I
Yeah.
find one that I'm comfortable with publishing. But
Right.
yeah, it's
I
been a
think I would I think I would argue actually that wildlife and farming are intrinsically connected.
yeah, I know, yeah,
So I think you can find a lot of angles with that, because without wildlife, you're not really going to have farming. Because if
exactly.
you're going
Yeah.
to expand wildlife to flora, fauna, mycelium, all the things that create like really fertile soil and food sources and all that stuff.
Hmm.
A lot of times you can't, not a lot of times, you can't do that without wildlife. And so I think what's cool about what you do and what you could bring to the table is creating more education, specifically maybe for like farmers about the benefits of sharing land a little bit.
Yeah.
Like you have had like the really cool experience of going on all these EEs, specifically like in Kenya, where we saw how the Maasai shaped the
Okay,
landscape for
definitely.
wildlife and how um, people are learning to live with wildlife. So I feel like you have a really cool niche actually that you can talk about,
Yeah.
especially when farming is such a huge industry and the way people are doing it. Just like I know you know all this, but the
No,
way
you're
they're
good.
doing
You're
it
good.
is not sustainable. It's not going to keep going. We're not going to be able to continue, the mass meat industry,
Mhm.
dairy, all of that, if they don't like try to make it a bit more sustainable, which means living with wildlife. So I
Yeah.
think you have a lot of cool things that you can do with what you're doing right
Yeah.
now. And to your point, yes, it is hard to not get stuck in, oh, this is what's trending. This is what is doing. I want to do it for the views and kind of shy away from what you're passionate about. But I'm a big advocate for if you don't talk about what you're passionate about, it'll show and you
Yeah.
might get more views, but you're not going to have that engagement and reach that's going to actually create a difference.
Yeah. I agree.
So
My problem
that's
is,
hard.
yeah, I have too many like video ideas because, like you said, they're so connected. Ecological
Hmm.
farming, like farming is ecological. So
Yeah,
it's like, yeah, because we have everything we eat is like an organism. Like it was alive at one point,
right.
minus like salt and some minerals, I guess. Like everything is like life. And it's so
Hmm.
connected in that way. So yeah, but trying to find like because I have like this notes tab where I just write video ideas and then I'll just go to that tab, choose a video idea, and
Hmm.
actually try to take that idea all the way through. So like that choice is important because when I make
Yeah,
that choice, it takes like sometimes a few weeks to get a
yeah,
video done.
yeah,
And then I'm tweaking my process to see if I can find a style of making videos that takes a shorter amount of time. Like some of my very first videos, they took me months to make because one of them was a 40 plus minute documentary on the American bison, like natural
hmm,
history on the American bison, and I got lost in writing the script for that. It
right,
didn't do too well on the YouTube platform, but it's whatever because I enjoyed doing that one so much. Like I
right.
wasn't even trying to get views. I was like kind of seeing what would happen.
Hmm.
But
Well,
yeah,
and what's cool about like, you should look at I'm sorry if you hear,
no, you're good.
I'm right on a busy street.
Oh,
But
I can't hear anything.
this stuff, oh, that's good because a massive trash truck just went by. Um, what's cool though about the stuff that you've already created is you already have content right there that you can use again. So like your bison video, it's 40 minutes. How could you pare it down to be 5 minutes? How could you pare it down to be 90 seconds? How could you pare it down to be 30 seconds? Like, and like find that niche of like how long something needs to be to attract the audience that you want.
Yeah,
And like there's so many cool things you can do. And you already have it created. That's a big thing. Is like you don't necessarily need to reinvent the wheel every time. If you're
yeah,
creating these 40-minute long documentaries, you should be using that for, especially because YouTube is your big thing. You should be doing that for like YouTube shorts and
yeah,
then you can put it on your Instagram and all those things. Like
yeah,
that's the hard thing about being creative, I feel, is you create something that you really love and you put all your heart and soul into it. And then it's like, okay, on to the next thing. And so squeezing like a little bit more life out of that one thing that you put your heart soul into, I think will be beneficial,
yeah. I
is
agree.
beneficial. Not even I think, I know it is.
In terms of posting, reposting little snippets of it or shortened versions of it to like Instagram,
Mm-hmm.
I've been thinking
Mm-hmm.
of trying to create a whole nother page because I don't really like mixing my personal account with my creative work. It's just kind of weird. Like it
Yeah, no,
doesn't
I don't think you should do that unless you want to be the face of it, like an influencer. But
yeah,
yeah,
it's just it feels weird knowing that like all my friends and family are seeing it as well as the public.
right.
Like, yeah, so I'm thinking of making a new Instagram page. And I know you guys talked about that in the podcast you sent me. And that was an awesome
Mm,
podcast, by the way. I listened to that while walking because I walk like down this big road.
yeah,
Usually listening to audiobooks or podcasts. So
nice.
it was a really awesome podcast. It was funny. It was very natural. Yeah. So you guys talked about a lot of things that I put bullet points that I want to cover
Oh,
with you
yeah,
right now.
for
But
sure.
one of them was the fact that you guys mentioned that your personal accounts are kind of dead because
Hmm.
you're so busy creating like social media content for the public, not just friends and family. So I think I'm gonna have to go down that route because that's too much to manage,
Yeah.
managing the opinions of your direct circle and the
Hmm.
opinions of your work from the public are two different things, I feel.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And what's nice also, if you separate it from your personal, then any sort of like negativity that you receive, I find it's easier to separate it from emotion so that it's not taken personally.
Mhm.
Because when you have like trolls or haters or whatever, it can be so like mind-numbingly horrible, especially even if like your face isn't on it and it's just like the creation that you made, to have like people be like, you suck or your work sucks or you're lying or
Yeah.
climate change isn't real or anything along those lines, like it can be really degrading and tiring. And so separating yourself from it is nice. So I would recommend
Oh yeah.
never having, unless I know some people want to be like an influencer.
Yeah.
Um, but for me personally, yeah. So yeah, no, my personal Instagram, I'll like go through phases because I like to post on my own Instagram. I think it's fun.
Mhm.
And I like to like look back at it because my memory is so crap. Um, but yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
that's a big
got
thing.
it's got its ups and downs. Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree. In terms of influencer, like I don't even know what I want to be in term. I just want to know that I want to create videos and I want people to like get impacted by them.
Yeah.
Where they're like ecological farming is awesome. I want to know more. That's
Yeah.
like a result I want to obtain, and I don't know what that
Hmm.
means right now. Like I don't know if that means like I'm the host of this series of videos, or if it's just more documentary style, 40 plus minutes.
Right.
I'm just popping out videos. Um, but I have too
Yeah.
many.
Have you done like a full kind of like dream big brainstorm of like what's your overarching goal and then the little goals and how you can get to there and like,
Yeah. Yeah, I do that all the time actually. Like
okay.
not all the time, but I like refine my vision of where I want to go
Yeah.
periodically. And it's like I want to eventually make money off my videos so that I can reinvest that money and start like a regenerative farm
Yeah.
somewhere. start like a series on like a TV show, but like on YouTube maybe, like a
Mm-hmm.
series, and it's just like sharing the processes of that farm. So like ecotourism will be a part of it and stuff, but that's like further down the line. I'm just kind of making videos. I'm at the point of creating videos right now.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's fun actually. It's just managing the fact that the results are so immediate. Because like
right,
artists before us, like the older generation before the internet was a thing, they never had to deal with like immediate results. So they
right,
just kind of like sent in their work and then they would have to wait months before getting like real results. So in that
right.
time, they had that peace of mind, so they could
Yeah,
work on other stuff. So we got to create that world for us where we don't like constantly check the statistics and stuff.
right. And the
Yeah.
statistics don't equate to like the value of what you're. It's easy to be like, oh, wow, this video bombed and it sucked because like maybe the numbers don't correlate. But that's not necessarily the same thing. And that's
Mhm.
also like if we want to get deep about it, like that's unfortunately the capitalistic nature that it comes with creativity right now is, you know, people you have to make money off of what you like to do because we have to live
Yeah.
and but like if we think of if we didn't have to make the money but we could create like what cool things could be created
Hmm.
because of that. And so I think about that a lot of like even if something that I create and love doesn't do well, it still provided something for me. And
Hmm.
maybe it provided something for like one or two people. And
Yeah.
even if that's a small number, that's still more than zero. And even if it's no one else, it's still for me. And
Yeah.
I think people get wrapped up in that a lot. And it's really easy to, but I think it's a good reminder to like, especially when you're a creative person, to remind yourself that creativity is not inherently meant to be sold. It's meant to be enjoyed and learned and passed on and shared and all those things.
Exactly.
At least that's what I think.
Yeah, no, it's like the fulfillment you get from actually creating it. Um,
Yeah,
that's like the definition of like a true artist. But like
right.
every artist has to deal with that. Like, what can I do to tweak my work a little bit for more popularity? But at the same time, you don't have to do that. But it's tricky because at the back of your mind, it's something you got to manage.
Yeah.
But like another thing I've been doing for my mental well-being is like, how hectic the world is. We got to make money, we got to pay
Hmm.
our bills and all that. It's like life is so fast-paced, and if you just let your foot off the throttle, it like you start getting left behind and buried under everything, right? So like
Hmm.
I don't let that take away my wonder for the things I'm
Hmm.
passionate about though, because once that happens, I would say you're done for as a creative. Like if you lose your
Yeah.
wonder of like the things that you were passionate about as a child, you don't have that wonder anymore. You've lost something very big there. So what I like to do is like in the morning, I'll wake up a little bit earlier and just make myself a coffee and just read some animal books because that's what I used to
Hmm.
do as a kid. Like
Yeah.
who cares right now about views? Who that doesn't exist in my morning time. It's just
Right.
what am I most interested about? Pick the book up, start reading, and right now that has been this book,
Let me
uh,
see. Prehistoric.
Prehistoric Mammals. Yeah.
I love that. Absolutely.
Like this is the stuff I did as a kid before I knew
Yeah.
about bills and
Yeah.
all these problems. So that has helped a lot. Like,
I think that's great.
you know,
I
you,
love that.
we forget like how amazing the things that we are passionate about actually are, and like
Yeah.
dinosaurs and stuff. We're both Jurassic Park fans. Remember when you guys were
Yeah.
humming the Jurassic Park tune?
The theme song. Nee,
Yeah.
nee, nee, nee. Absolutely. I do it all the
That
time.
was an awesome moment.
Yeah.
I guess we should talk a little bit before we dive further into these topics. The EE.
Sure.
Lauren and I just came back from East Africa with Project Dragonfly.
Yeah, we
Um,
did.
I might have to cut this out, put it in the beginning of the podcast now, but yeah,
Yeah.
we just came back from an expedition with our university, Miami University, and the program we're in is called Project Dragonfly. And so we just came back from an Earth expedition because we have to do 3 Earth expeditions every to obtain our degree, one every year. And we did one in East Africa. So we were in the Amboseli ecosystem and the South Rift Valley ecosystem, which is close to the Masai Mara region. and we saw so much. We saw all the iconic
Mhm.
animals basically, except for leopards, and like that's about it.
That's about it.
Yeah, we saw everything else, and so we were in these huge vehicles, going through national parks, and
Cue
there
the
was
clip. I know
was
you
that
have the clip. I said cue the clip because you
yeah,
have
yeah,
it. I know you do.
yeah. I will cue that clip. Yeah, it was awesome. There was just so many funny, exciting, adventurous moments, but it was like a life-changing expedition for sure.
Mhm.
And what we were just now talking about is at one point, Lauren and some other people by you were humming the beat to Jurassic Park while we were driving through Ambaselli. That was
Yeah.
awesome. Because I heard
Yeah.
the beat. I'm like, what is happening right now? And I'm like, this is cool.
Yeah. Yeah. I like to have a soundtrack to most parts of my life because, like you were talking about earlier, if we don't remember and honor our childlike wonder,
Yeah,
I don't know, it just gets kind of boring and sad. So I
exactly.
totally
Like,
feel that.
yeah, and like diving back into the stuff that I used to read as a kid, I'm like reminded how amazing these things are that I'm passionate about. Like there were
Yeah.
saber-toothed tigers in this continent at one
There
point.
were
You know?
freaking saber-tooth tigers.
Yeah,
So
it's like
crazy.
let's just slow down and think about that. You know, it's like
Yeah.
that is
I think
insane.
about, do you know about, I think about the giant sloth a lot, the
Oh
like
yeah, the
prehistoric
freaking
giant sloth.
yeah. It's
They
like
have a, yeah, have you been to the Smithsonian Natural History Museum in DC?
when I was very young, yeah. But I got
Oh, you got to go back.
yeah.
They have, I think it's there. They have a fossil and
Okay.
it's incredible. It's like my favorite place to go in DC. Of
That's
course. I mean, I think probably all of us, our favorite place is the Natural History Museum. But
yeah, I've been to a bunch of museums. Whenever I travel to big cities, I make sure to hit up the museum if they got one. And I'm like so mentally fatigued after because I'm like so overstimulated by every
I
little
know.
fact and sign that I have to read it all. I'm one of those guys that has to read it all. So yeah, I'm
Yeah.
like I sleep very good those nights. But
I know. I do the same. I always bring my headphones so that I can tune out because usually there's like screaming children.
oh yeah.
And so I need to like focus and learn. So
Yeah.
I usually bring in my like noise canceling headphones and just zone out and learn a lot and then sleep hard, just like you.
Yeah, that's a good idea. The headphones. Because I
Yeah.
went to the DIA, the Detroit Institute of Arts for the first time, like a few weeks ago, and this school field trip was there. So it was like this army of little kids came by, and I'm
Wow.
like, yeah, this is not what I thought.
Yeah. Yeah. It's hard. I mean, like when I go to basically anything where I know there's going to be kiddos, I usually just bring my headphones or have you heard of a loop? They're like an earplug and they have different kinds. And so I have two different ones. One's for like at nighttime, so it blocks out most of everything. If I travel, I bring them with me. I brought them to Kenya because a few of our neighbors were snorers, so I would
Oh,
put those in. But then they
gotcha.
also have ones that block less noise, so you can still hold like a conversation, but all the like background noise is a little less overwhelming and sometimes it just gets too much. So I would highly recommend, not an ad,
Yeah,
not
okay,
sponsored.
gotcha. Yeah, no, I will take that into consideration for sure. Um, yeah, but this is also another thing that I do to my just for my mental health is I draw. Like I just like ignore everything and I draw. So I'll open this book up to an image that I want to replicate. So
Yeah.
this is like in the process, but
Nice.
you see like the girth and the bulkiness of a saber-tooth
Yeah.
or a smilodon. It's so impressive.
Yeah. That's
Like
really cool.
even compared to like a lion, they're like more muscular. They got a big
Yeah.
upper body, I guess, but it's just an amazing animal. All these
Yeah.
animals are amazing. Just learning about those time periods, those geologic time periods. Um,
Hmm.
is that subject is so fascinating to me and you, I bet.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I want to like, I joke to my friends that I want to get back into dinosaurs again because I feel like I used to know a lot about dinosaurs and now my knowledge has faded into memory,
Yeah,
or lack of memory, I guess. And so
it happens.
I think once I'm not, once all my files in my brain aren't full of grad school, I think I'm going to randomly get back into dinosaurs and just spout random dinosaur facts at people. So,
Right? And then start like a little series on it
yeah.
somehow.
Yeah.
That,
See what
that's
dinosaurs were in Philadelphia.
yeah. But yeah, that's it's it's hard to do that because you want to immediately try to make what you were passionate about into your work, and then it's no longer fun anymore. But I know there's
Exactly.
that silver area, that gray area where you're making money from your art. It's possible, and
Hmm.
looking toward that, because I would like to do that for my career, where my work is my play. Um, but yeah, it's just a process, I think, and I'm confident I can get there because like even if you like you said you don't get views, it's a learning process and
Hmm.
you have to get those reps out of you. You got to create really bad work in order to create the good work. And
Yeah.
I know this from reading about other creators, their biographies and stuff. Like I got one right here that I'm reading still. I'm almost done with this. This is the you might laugh when you see this. But this is
Oh, yes. Did
because
you learn the song?
yeah, I did. I knew of it, but
I know you did. I put you on the spot.
that was funny. Lauren and I, for people who don't know, were trying to impress the Maasai tribe with some American songs. And I think you or I suggested Lose Yourself. And then,
Hmm.
yeah, it didn't work out the way we envisioned, but it was very funny. And we tried rapping
Let's
Lose
not
Yourself.
forget, I knew all the words,
Yeah,
and you left me hanging.
yeah. But yeah,
No, but we were trying to. The Maasai showed us some beautiful cultural and traditional dances and songs. And then us Americans didn't really have any beautiful traditional cultural songs to share. And so we
yeah,
were trying to find options very fast.
yeah.
Um,
I feel
Probably
like,
maybe
yeah.
best that Eminem didn't work out.
Yeah, music is a universal language, and I feel like if we could have had some more time, we could have chose some good ones, but
I
so
agree.
on the spot.
I told them I hope that the professors give people heads up next year because I think that would be like a beautiful bonding moment.
Yeah.
But like when it's sprung on you last minute like that, there's no way you're gonna think of something. And I'm really glad we didn't do Miley Cyrus Party in the USA.
Oh yeah. That would be funny. And speaking of Eminem, Lauren sent me a meme that was so funny. The Italian Eminem. It was just like a
Oh yeah.
random. That was hilarious. Um, You know, what's, yeah, like what's crazy about learning about his story is it's so hard for me to imagine Eminem as a bad rapper because like he's
Hmm.
like a god to me in music and
Hmm.
everything. But I've been learning about him and like his early career, very early career, and he was not good. He sucked, and people would let him know that. But the thing is, he just kept making his next work, and
Yeah.
eventually it got really damn good. And like the YouTube shorts that I watched recommended me some of his oldest raps, like when he was like a little teenager, and they sounded so
Hmm.
bad. He was just going so fast. He had the speed, but the rhythm wasn't there, and he was just
Yeah.
pretty much just like trying to focus on the speed, and it sounded
Yeah.
horrible. And that's just hope for all other creators. Like
Hmm.
if an all-time great started there. But the thing
Right.
is, he was so passionate about it. Words to him are his main passion. So you got to make sure you enjoy the thing you're doing, and then just keep at it.
Absolutely.
And yeah,
Yeah.
just focus on.
Everyone starts somewhere. All the greats started as everyone had to learn and everyone had to fail. Of course, some people are like very talented naturally, but everyone has to practice. So, just like anything, we have to keep practicing until we can do it well.
Exactly.
And social media is hard because it changes all the time.
Yeah, it changes. So it's like you got to manage that. You got to set your own boundaries on it.
Hmm.
But there's a good to that. It makes you more self-disciplined if you're able to create these rules for yourself, and it can work out, I think. I think social media is still pretty young, and as a species, we're still kind of figuring out how to like work with it in our lives.
Hmm.
because it's
Hmm.
dangerous too. It's a double-edged sword.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's everyone's highlight reel of their lives. It's not good for people's mental health.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like who's gonna share their downtimes? It's just very uncomfortable to do that. But I mean, as a creator, I would like to share some of the downsides, but in a way like long form YouTube where, not like just Instagram stories. It's just weird it's really hard to share your downsides on the platform Instagram.
Yeah, it's
But the
hard. And then
whole
also, I think a lot of people, when they are on social media, YouTube, whatever, they're looking many times for like escapism, right? And people usually don't want to escape into something that's sad or is like real life or relevant to their own life. They want to see the like crazy adventures that someone went on that they may never be able to go on those kind of adventures or, you know, the house tours. I think of like the weird house tours they do with celebrities and stuff. Like people use that to escape and to show off like the best moments of their life. And so I do agree. I think it's important that people share hard times too, but also it's a lot harder to share your hard times
yeah.
and be vulnerable. And also, there's something to being vulnerable in person, but when it's online and it's like permanent, um, I think that's even harder for it to come off genuine sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, the YouTube, right? Long form content on YouTube, it's easier, I feel, than
Yeah.
short form to share your downsides, just because short form, you can't really share your downsides easily where it's like genuine, I feel. But like a 10-20 minute video, it's a lot easier. And by sharing your downsides, I just mean like being a little bit more relatable to the viewer,
Mhm.
not spilling all the beans, but just like if you're making a fitness video, it's super easy to share your downside. You can be like, yeah, sometimes I just want to grab a bag of chips. You show us yourself a shot of you eating chips
Mhm.
and just like maybe talk about like how you were there and what you did to get here. And it's very easy to share your downsides on YouTube because it's long form. And I got some
Mhm.
scripts ready where I'm going to talk about that because I want to talk about ecological farming and the food, the quality of that food,
Mhm.
but I have to understand like my viewer how they take that because it is more expensive, but I'm trying to like convince them that it's worth the price and that they'd be contributing to environmental regeneration by buying that type of food. Um, but like money is important, people can't just spend a lot more on the same calories. So it's tricky. I'm working on the
Mhm.
script now though.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and I think that comes down to a lot of growing and creating your. I just got distracted. There's a really cool bird outside that I'm
Oh
trying
yeah.
to identify at this exact moment.
That's like no problem.
I think it's just a juvenile cardinal looking really weird, but I don't
Okay.
feel like it's molting season. Anyway,
Juvenile cardinal, that's sick. We get
I
cardinals
think,
too, but I don't see juvenile.
yeah, I bet you get cool birds. I mean, I live like city, so
Oh yeah, like
I don't see
Philadelphia,
a
like in
lot.
the center of
Yeah.
it. Okay.
I don't live center city. I live in West Philadelphia.
Okay,
Um,
West Philly.
yeah. So there's a lot of like cool green spaces that I go birding nearby. But outside my house, I have one big green tree that I like to bird through. There's usually like a woodpecker in here, and I saw an American goldfinch the other week. And I
Wow.
still don't know if this is a cardinal. Anyway, I'll be
No
identifying that as we
problem.
go. But anyway, oh, I was going to say, I think like with affordability and eating, um, a lot of times it comes down to like what people can grow themselves,
Yeah.
or like make at home. And then also like I think a big thing with your content is finding small ways that people can add it to their daily lives or like make one small change.
Hmm.
Because like you said, no one's gonna, not no one, but most people can't afford to buy fully organic, grass fed, regenerative agriculture or destined. I don't know if I'm saying the correct words.
No, those are
Um,
good. Yeah, those are
but
right.
like all of those, yeah, that's like really hard. And I think if you can help provide like the information of how to do it and
Yeah.
then like give those options, I think that's like really powerful for
Yeah.
people because
That,
education is power and that's what you're creating.
yeah. And I want to go at it at an angle where I just talk about I highlight the benefits of the food instead of
Yeah.
just try to persuade the viewer. Or else I'm like rewatching myself and it's just like I just sound like this annoying person trying to get you to do something, but I don't want to make videos like that, you know?
Yeah,
It's like now it's politics, but
right.
what I
But
get
I
lost in.
don't think you sound like an annoying person.
Okay.
I think to come off genuine, you do have to be vulnerable. So like also like I think when we're trying to teach someone about something we're passionate about and we want them to maybe see our way, I think sometimes it's beneficial for us to, like you said, look at the other, like what are the alternatives that people are doing and why are they doing them? Like with what you're saying, cost is a huge thing. Also
Yeah.
access. So like
Mhm.
maybe you do an episode talking about food deserts, maybe, and maybe you have already,
I
you
haven't.
know, and like finding the, I don't know about empathy is not the right word, but being vulnerable enough to figure out like what is that sweet spot for you where you're not talking at people, you're talking with people. So,
Yeah.
like you were saying, like um I love chips. Chips are super delicious. Totally get it. But here's a nice alternative that is also delicious and provides these, vitamins to your body that helps your immune system, that does A, B, and C. And you can find it
Hmm.
in your backyard because it grows naturally.
Yeah.
I think um, frame how you frame things. People are never going to be responsive if you frame things as like, this is super bad for you. Why are you doing it? Do it this way instead.
Yeah.
Instead coming from a empathetic and understanding like it's really hard for us to access fresh food
Hmm.
here in most places in the US. You may be in a food desert and you don't even know that. Here's what a food desert is. Me, Sadat, I am really passionate about humans reconnecting with their food sources. And like maybe it's the connection that you should focus on more instead of the actual end product
Yeah.
because I think that could, I don't know, I'm trying to think, I'm like talking and brainstorming as I'm talking.
No
So
problem.
I don't know if it's totally making sense,
It is.
but
Yeah.
it is. Yeah. I think you have a really cool story. I think you have a cool passion. I think it's a cool niche also that I haven't seen.
Hmm.
Um, and
Thank
I
you.
think the biggest thing is like finding your audience and finding those like people that interact with you and seeing like, okay, how do you like to learn? Um, but yeah, anyway, I feel like I rambled for a little bit, but
No,
I
no,
think I
I
think you have
agree.
a lot to offer, and I think you know don't judge yourself if you're rewatching your videos because first of all, it's hard to be on video. It's hard to be authentic on video,
Yeah.
and then also what is authentic per each person, right? The way
Exactly.
I talk is different than the way you talk. Is the way different than my best friend talks. Like
Yeah.
she's very like city, very serious, very there's no real emotion behind it, but she still means well. I can be very like emotional.
No,
So like that adds to it. But like
yeah,
we all have a voice to share.
exactly. I've learned how to be myself on camera over the past nearly 2 years of making videos.
Nice.
Even my very first video, I never wanted to go about it as like robotic reading lines I've memorized. So even my very first videos, you'll see I'm just like kind of chilling and talking, but obviously it wasn't the pacing and all the little things weren't refined yet.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I always like I love creators on YouTube that you can tell they're just kind of speaking from the heart in their videos.
Yep.
Not like the other ones where it's like they're clearly reading off of lines that they typed out. Because YouTube can be used as a search engine, you know. YouTube
Mm-hmm.
can be used for multiple things, but it's also a platform for artists. Like some of my favorite YouTubers, one of them is she's in Sweden. She's huge. You probably have heard of her. Jonah Jinton. Let me see.
Mm.
But she basically makes these nature videos. She's got 5.2 million subscribers right now. And like you can tell her videos are art. It's just like a painting. an artist would paint. Her videos are just like that. She's just using the video format as her release valve.
Oh
But
yeah.
yeah, she blew up on the platform a few years back, and yeah, she does all types of art. She paints, she does Adobe Photoshop. So I want to
Wow.
make my work like that, where you can tell this is my like creativity that I'm channeling, not
Right.
just like I'm trying to fill in a gap. I see demand and I'm here to provide to make money. It's not like business for me. It's more
Yeah.
like it can be business later on, but
Yeah.
I'm an artist first for sure.
Mm-hmm.
That's just who I am. I need to be creative. Like you said, for the reason of like that fulfillment, I need to be
Yeah.
creative. But
Great
yeah,
to create.
yeah.
And I
But
think I think it'd be really cool. I don't know if you've done this, but I think it's really cool if you share about yourself, like that you love to draw and how you kind of go through the process of drawing and how you like to like I think an interesting video would also be about, reconnecting with child Sadat and you read about cool books that you would thought were really cool when you were a kiddo, like
exactly.
that's very important for adults to do and humans to do for so many reasons. And I think those are when you're talking to me about those things, those make me excited to know you
Mhm.
because that's me getting to learn a little bit more about who you are, behind the camera.
Yeah, exactly. It just takes time. I need a few more weeks of like working on the process, the actual process, undistracted, so I can really prioritize which projects I feel most good doing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it'll just it's just a time thing. But
Yep. Get
there's
that.
a another bullet point that I wanted to talk about. You guys on the Ross Safari, that's how you say it, Ross Safari podcast.
Yeah. Rastafari, John Rossi.
Okay, yeah, he's a drummer, right? Is what
Hmm.
he introduced
Yeah. He's
himself.
a touring drummer.
Yeah.
And then he kind of started this on the side. And I think the goal is to do more of it than drumming, but I know he still really does drumming.
Okay. Sorry, you kind of broke up there. I think his internet connection was lost.
Oh, sorry. Oh,
But
yeah. I
yeah,
was just
I
telling you
heard.
about John, but yeah, he's cool.
Okay, yeah. You guys talked about a lot of stuff there, and I have like four that I wanted to talk about here.
Yeah.
One of
Let's do
them
it.
was the Arizona Sonora Desert Museum. I think that's what it's called.
Yeah.
That one, like I didn't know about it much until I heard you guys talk about how amazing it was. So now I want to go there. So
Yeah.
that's like something I just wanted to mention on this podcast. Not really a question, I guess, but just
Yeah.
talk
Well,
about
people
it.
should. I'll tell you a little bit. So I grew up in Tucson, Arizona. I grew up in the Southwest, and
Mhm.
I grew up going to the Arizona Sonora Desert Museum. And then I ended up working there for a while. And it's absolutely fantastic. It's the best. If you want to call it a zoo, it technically is. It's an accredited zoo. It's the best one I've ever been to because the animals are kept in very like natural environments.
Mhm.
So it's a big goal for you, like not to see like it as a cage. And usually the majority of the exhibits are really large, which I really like as well. And they're all native Sonoran desert creatures, which is really cool as well. Because a lot of zoos, it's, things from other countries and whatnot, but this is a place where you can come and see the animals of the Southwest and of the Sonoran Desert.
Mhm.
Um, and yeah, it's not only is it a zoo, it's five things. Okay, I have to remember from when I worked there. It's a
Wow.
zoo, aquarium, natural history museum, an art gallery, like an incredible art gallery. They are well
Oh,
known for having visiting artists and um, um, a botanical garden. That's the biggest thing. It's a gorgeous, huge garden. You can walk on all these paths. You have to go. When you go there, let me know because I'll give you other recommendations in Tucson because
okay.
that's where I'm from and I love
I
it.
really want to.
Especially
I
there's a
didn't
ton
know.
of good food.
I didn't know you were from there. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Hmm.
I just get Dune vibes. Dune by Frank Herbert.
Dune. Yeah. Yeah,
When I
I can
think of
see
that
that. The
environment.
Sonoran Desert actually has way more biodiversity than most people know because
Okay.
it gets a lot of moisture from the ocean. Why am I forgetting all my names of locations? But it gets a lot of moisture, so it has higher rainfall than is expected. So there's a lot of biodiversity. So you have like the big
Okay.
saguaros, which is This guy, this
Oh,
tattoo, that's a
wow.
saguaro. You've
Those
seen him
things are
before.
huge, right? They get like really tall.
Yeah,
Okay.
really, really tall. They grow really, really old. The Tohono Autumn, they believe that saguaros are their ancestors, which is very amazing. And so I used to work at Saguaro National Park. So the saguaro, the namesake of the park.
Mhm.
And I did a lot of work with saguaros. And if you are around them for a long period of time, um, they're very personable, which may sound weird to some people that a plant can be personable unless you've been around plants a lot.
No, I
Um,
believe
and
that. I
they
believe it.
and they have in my opinion, they have souls. So they're
I
very
hate that.
incredible,
Yeah.
um, incredible plants. And I love the Sonoran Desert. There's a ton of reptiles and amphibians there. I love herps. A lot
Same.
of cool mammals. There's a lot of big issues there right now too with um, animals losing their migration routes since it's near the border.
Mhm.
So, anyways, it's a really cool place. Also, you could learn a lot of cool things about farming down there. I don't know a lot about regenerative farming down there, but there's a lot of cattle because
Oh,
it's
okay.
Arizona. But
That's
I feel like you could find some cool connections for your podcast and what you're wanting to do.
See, I've been to Arizona, but like the northeastern tip of it, because I was
Yeah,
just driving down from like Utah and we were doing like this road trip where we went to Zion National Park and
nice.
just went down to Arizona to see Horseshoe Bend. So
Yeah,
I can say I've been there, but not totally because Arizona, I know like the ecosystems there are absolutely just beautiful, but
yeah.
I just don't know enough yet to decide where exactly I want to go. But yeah, I want to go.
Arizona has a lot to offer. Once you go, you let me know and I'll help you plan it.
Oh, for sure.
A good
Um,
place.
did you know that that Arizona Sonora Desert Museum that Coyote Peterson did an episode on?
Yeah,
Isn't that cool? I'm yet to
yeah,
watch the whole thing, but I just typed in Arizona Sonora Desert Museum on YouTube and that video popped up. I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. Big time
yeah,
creator did a thing on there.
yeah. I'm pretty sure Peterson, isn't he? Am I thinking of the right person? Coyote
Brave
Peter.
Wilderness, that's his like channel name now these days.
Oh, right. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, I remember this now.
Okay.
Do you know the Crap Brothers? I'm sure.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So when I worked at the Desert Museum, they came to do an episode there.
Ooh, wow.
So I got to hang out with them, and uh, I don't think it's in this room. I have a picture like with them, and they like signed it, and
That's so cool.
it had like a Zaboomafoo like frame from
Yeah.
back in the day, which was really cool. But yeah, everyone goes to the desert. If you're seeing, I worked with a lot of really big names like Nat Geo and all of those. When they're looking for like a close up of a specific Sonoran Desert creature, they'll go to us, or not us. I don't work there anymore, but they would
Huh.
go to the Arizona Sonoran Desert Museum to film. The Desert Museum also has a raptor free flight program, so you can go see um, different hawks,
I think I
um,
saw that on the website
all
when I was
sorts of
checking
different
out the
things. You can see
website.
them free fly, and it's really cool. And um,
That is cool.
big name productions have gone and done filming with them because then they can get up close video of like a Harris hawk
That is,
hunt or
yeah,
whatever.
that's just like the spot, it seems, for nature
Yeah,
in the
yeah.
Southwest.
I miss the desert a lot. I really want to move back, but I also weirdly don't want to live in my hometown. So I don't know.
Gotcha.
I'm in a weird conundrum, but I do miss the nature aspect is amazing.
Yeah, Earth is just so diverse. Like it's just a whole nother world, it seems, like a whole nother planet, a whole
Yep.
nother biome, a different set
Yep.
of species. Like I can personally never get bored of this planet because
No.
we just know so little still about
Yeah.
ecology and yeah, so I don't understand the crowd of folks that want to go to Mars and stuff, and I'm always like, it's a back and forth in a good-hearted way argument whenever I run into them. One of
Sure.
my good friends is like that. He's like always about that stuff.
Yeah.
Not that I want to close the doors on that. I think we should continue learning about space, but it's like, dude, we're on a planet right now that has water, that has insane life.
Yeah.
It's just
I
like,
think it's easy for people to forget or not even understand how much there is to offer on our planet.
yeah, yeah, definitely. Because and those people tend to be the ones who have never done much of connecting to nature, just like
Yep.
from my experience. So I feel like if they just took the time to just go out on a stream and do some fly fishing on their own,
Yeah.
so they have to pay attention to the little sounds and everything, they will
Hmm.
start to realize like this planet is freaking amazing.
Hmm.
And like all the sci-fi films and books, they're all like inspired by Earth because there's nothing else to go off of. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, like there's like this weird experiment where science fiction and fantasy writers had to create a creature that didn't resemble any creature on Earth. And they literally
Hmm.
couldn't do it. They couldn't make any creature that didn't have some attribute that was related to an animal that already existed. I find
Right.
that pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, because how are you going to make it up? All all fantasy is made from reality. Like
Yeah.
there's not because it's like a weird like loop in your brain to think about, but you can't create something even if it's new and fresh, it's still inspired by something. Just the way
Yeah.
like music is usually inspired by a million other things and sampling and all that. So that is a kind of like a little mind. I don't know if I can cuss on here, but it's kind of a
Yeah, I know what
mind
you're about
thing.
to say. I agree. Whenever I say the F word, I bleep it out. It just sounds funnier. And I don't think the algorithm likes the F word, so I just leave it out.
Oh yeah, I
But
wouldn't be surprised.
speaking of like regenerative farming and stuff, I this weekend I have a really cool trip planned with a close friend of mine named Alex. He and I went to high school together and we, have been connected ever since. So he's been hunting white-tailed deers and doing hunting his whole life. So I'm about to do big game hunting for the first time in my life because I've been hunting, but not like deer-sized animals.
Hmm.
I've just been doing fishing. I hunt squirrels and birds. I got into that like earlier on this year. I've been fishing
Hmm.
for a very long time. And just livestock, we've been connected to nature in that way. But I've always wanted to hunt big game like in an ecosystem away from civilization. So like
Hmm.
we're gonna get the chance to do that this deer season. But
Hmm.
this weekend, I'm going up to his dad's property, which is like almost 200 acres. A lot of it is forest, and the rest of it is ag land. It's just like cornfields, which deer love. That's like their heaven because it's just like unlimited food for them.
Yeah.
So we're just going up there to do food plots, because I've never done that yet. So I'm gonna take my tripod and camera with me, see if I can get a few cool shots, and then just kind of be like a sponge, try to learn how to manage that land because his dad is also like very passionate about being a steward of the land, not using
Hmm.
chemicals and stuff. So it's just like
Hmm.
a godsend that he's willing to have me over and because
Yeah.
he's the type of person that likes questions being asked because he'll
Mhm.
talk on and on about it.
That's
So
good.
yeah, I can't wait for this weekend. I'm about to learn so much about how to manage like 200 acres and see
Yeah.
this from a hunter's point of view, like they're hunters. They've been hunting for a long time. So that's gonna be very fun.
Is that up in Michigan still?
Yeah, that's in Otisville, Michigan.
Okay. Very cool.
So a lot of forests there. Not as much as like the UP, but a lot more than the Detroit metro area.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah, just north of the Detroit metro area, it starts to get pretty wild. Like you'll
Yeah.
see raccoons crossing the road and bald eagles flying above.
Yeah.
Like every time I make a drive up north, I will see like 1 to 3 bald eagles as on the highway. It's like almost guaranteed. And I'm like
Yeah.
amazed every time. But yeah, Michigan is so cool how like the nature we have is so awesome.
Yeah.
It's just dense forests,
Yeah.
unless it has been turned it into monoculture ag. But other than that, it's just dense forest. There's like this saying that a squirrel can cross from one side of the state to the other without ever touching the ground because of how dense
Wow.
the trees are.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is hard to see far out in the distance. So if you're a person that likes to see mountains and a lot of land, you're probably gonna have a hard time here seeing that.
Yeah.
But it's just cool. Like we have such a an array of species. because it's just
Hmm.
forest. So you're gonna see a lot of mammals, a lot of birds. We're in like a migratory zone, so like a lot of birds from different parts of the continent will cross through, be seasonally
Nice.
available to see. So I mean, I love it.
Do you ever go out and go birding?
Yeah, I like whenever I'm on a nature trail, like I'm there for like a number of reasons, not just birds, little things too, birds, squirrels, everything, whatever I can find. So I know some people like to really categorize themselves as birders and like birds are my thing, but I can't just be limited and with just birds. So I'll pick up logs and stuff while I'm birding and see it all. I know you and I
Yeah.
share the same passion of like reptiles.
Yes.
I'm
And
looking
the
for
small
snakes.
and the creepy crawlies. Love creepy
Yeah.
crawlies.
Daddy long legs are so prevalent in this
So
trail
cool.
near me.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the turkeys love them. And I just find that fascinating. I see like these scary spiders, and then I see these turkeys like gobbling them up. And
Little
to them,
snack.
yeah, to them they're just like candies, like Jolly Ranchers, like the way
Yeah.
they go crazy for the daddy long legs, the wild turkeys there.
That's
And like
great.
that's all of what ecology is. It's like what
Yeah.
does this thing eat? And
Yeah.
yeah, it's just like that food chain right there. And it's just fascinating because it's like the turkey's mass, since it was a little baby turkey up until it's like a 30-pound bird, it's all from what it ate. And it was just a mixture of different insects and seeds and plants.
Hmm.
I find that so cool. And
Yeah.
to eat a turkey that was fed nothing but one thing, like fortified grains, its whole life, that turkey gained its mass in a totally different way than the wild turkey did. And that's why when you cut into both of those animals, the wild turkey meat is so much tougher. It's like sinewy muscle, orangish fat. It's a whole nother product. Because
No,
you
they're
can't,
like not even the
yeah,
same turkey anymore.
yeah, you can't replace that diversity easily. Even if you do have all the balanced vitamins and stuff, it's not the same as like what nature had in its diet. Like if you really think about it, like one daddy longlegs has like all the organs and stuff in that spider that it ate, and then it just adds up. The nutrient balance is totally different, actually, even if you try to balance it out with these artificial grain, fortified
Hmm.
grains and stuff. But it's fascinating. Like a daddy longlegs, if you look at it in a magnifying glass, it's just like this sphere with
I
giant,
know.
like it's so scary, honestly. It's like an alien.
Yeah.
But the fact that it's small is good.
They're small, but they're big. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I feel that. When I would
Like,
camp, when I was working for the Park Service and we would camp up on top of some mountains, my tent always had like 100 to 200 daddy long legs that would be on one side of like, because we'd be there for a while. So we had these like big erected tents. And
yeah,
so they would have like a trunk in them where you'd put your stuff inside. And on one side of the trunk, there would just be like, it looked like a carpet. It was so thick of daddy long legs. And I'm not going to lie, I didn't necessarily love it, especially because at night, the amount of times I woke up and one was crawling over my face was
that's
like
crazy.
not ideal, but it was very cool.
Yeah. Spiders are so cool because like I feel like I think it's true that we all have an innate fear of them. Like arachnophobia is like a part of being human for some reason. Like
Hmm.
no matter how fearless you are of spiders, if one gets plopped on your lap out of nowhere, you're going to flinch. Like if it's a big hairy spider, like and you don't expect it, like I'm not scared of them if I know where they're at. If I know where it's at, I can actually approach it, pick it up with a stick, relocate it,
Hmm.
no matter how scary it looks. But if I don't expect it, like if I just lean back in my chair and squish one, that will scare me.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
I
just
think it's
cool.
probably like more that when you are unprepared and unaware of something and something comes onto you and like
Yeah,
if you think about like when like you have like a hair that like is on your arm and you're like, well, what is that? Like it's that
yeah,
same feeling of like unknown what's touching me. And
yeah.
I feel like that happens with me with just anything in general. Like my own
Oh,
hair, I'll be like, ah, what is that? And I'll be like, it's my hair, calm down.
yeah. And my parents are a lot less scared of spiders than I am because I grew up here in like this climate where spiders are not as common as like where my parents are from Bangladesh. That's like southeastern Asia. So this
Hmm.
is a tropical environment. Their spiders were way bigger, way scarier than the
Yeah.
spiders in Michigan. So they're just not scared of them as much. There's like too many.
No, yeah. They're like, this is a child's play spider. We have huge ones at home.
I used to have a pet, two pet tarantulas that I
Nice.
sold off to different pet shops just because I was trying to dwindle down how many animals I was keeping.
Hmm.
Right now, I just have one corn snake and a few aquariums of freshwater fish and a
Mm,
cat.
cool.
The cat's more of a family member. He doesn't need much work to be done after him. He's
Yeah.
independent, as you know
Yeah.
what you know about cats. Um, but yeah, the spiders I had they were really interesting to look at and observe, like in their terrariums. And it's very hard to bond with a tarantula. They're mainly
Yeah.
an observe, animal. So I didn't
Hmm.
take them out much, but sometimes I had to when I was cleaning the terrarium, and they'd be so unpredictable with their movements. Like they're just like dash from here to my elbow. And I'm like, holy shit! All right, chill out, chill out. I'm like,
Yeah.
come over here, come back down. And they're fragile too, so you have to be like very
Hmm.
level-headed when handling them. But
Right.
it's a fascinating animal. We know nothing about their minds and their psychology. Like
Yeah.
there's spiders that dance. They do like this rotating thing, and we
Hmm.
still don't know why they do that. But that adds to the wonder of nature.
Yeah. That's cool. I
Okay.
probably have photos on my phone holding them. Yeah.
Okay.
Back at home, there was tarantulas all the time. I would like help move them off of the road. And like I grew up, once I was able to drive myself, I would stop in the middle of the night and like move all of the animals around. Let's see.
Oh yeah, no
This
problem.
here, this is, can you see this? That's me
Yeah,
with
those
the
are huge.
tarantula.
Oh wait, is that in Arizona?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Okay.
One, I mean, one's I think a Mexican fire leg, and I think the other one's a blonde
Wow.
tarantula.
Those guys are
So
beautiful.
yeah, they're both pretty. So I think, yeah, my hands are on the top. So I'm holding that guy. And
And
then
that
that's my friend
top one,
Tony
what is
holding
the
that
top
one.
species?
I think that's an Arizona blonde.
Okay.
I could be wrong. And then I think it's a fire leg tarantula. And I also could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure I'm right.
Yeah, that's so
But
cool. I
yeah,
know
we
Arizona has
sell tarantulas all the time.
that.
Here's Tony with a tarantula on him.
Wow.
You know, I'm totally, I love spiders. I think they're cool. I would
Yeah, same
definitely,
here.
yeah, no, I've had friends who've had tarantulas and um yeah, I feel like it was pretty common. People would have a tarantula in a terrarium when I
Yeah,
grew up.
yeah, the orb weavers, those guys are scary. To me, they look scarier.
I agree. Actually, orb weavers are a little scarier to me, but also it's because
They just look
I
scary.
they just look scary. Yeah, they just have like a I don't know. Also, I didn't grow up with them. I grew up with tarantulas like in my yard. Like I grew up in a
Wow.
house that we weren't fenced. My parents were revegetating the land because it was forced property, so it got really like compacted and there was like no, it was like devoid of life. So my parents revegged my whole house.
Wow.
And I grew up, that was like my backyard. That was my, or I guess that was my what I did for fun is I just went outside and explored things. And so I found tarantulas. My dad would bring them to see me. There'd be rattlesnakes all the time that my dad would move from like our front patio away.
Oh, awesome.
Like
Good
I
that he
grew up
didn't kill them.
Yeah, no, I grew up in a very like you don't kill rattlesnakes. They're good for um
That's
keeping
awesome.
control of the pests because there's a ton of like pack rats who would like chew our car wires and things like that. And so I grew up
Yeah.
with I'm very lucky I grew up with parents who were very in tune with nature.
Yeah.
And then like showed me and allowed me to explore it. I mean, I was like 5, 6, like running around the desert barefoot all the time. And so I also learned like where to step to not get cactus in your feet and like all
Mm.
that. So I really do miss that connection to the land because I don't have that as much here in a big city. But it's
Mhm.
interesting because I've had to reevaluate what my notion of what outdoor space is,
Okay,
what
gotcha.
nature is, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's
So,
good to revisit that because your childhood environment is probably you got a special place in your heart for that ecosystem. Um,
mhm.
But that is so cool. Yeah, I feel like you've already read this book, Desert Solitaire. Have you read that book?
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
I have not. I just know about it because of how famous it is and the conservation
Yeah.
realm, but I know you probably would love that.
Yeah.
Or love
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. I think Edward Abbey was a pretty big part of my parents', I don't know, upbringing of me also.
Mm, that's awesome.
So, yeah,
Yeah,
you should
I
read it. It's
definitely
very
want to
good.
be, yeah, I want to be that type of dad in the future where I teach my kids like not to squish things or kill things immediately. Just get
Yeah.
like a styrofoam cup, paper,
Yep.
put it in there outside. And
Yep.
it's cool to watch it like go back into the wild.
Yeah, it is cool. Yeah, my undergrad, when I lived in a house with roommates, we had like a big meeting at the beginning, and I said to them, I said, if there's an insect or anything in your room, please do not kill it. You can even wake me up and I'll come move it for you. So
Okay.
I
Yeah,
would
that's
be
how
the
I
one who
am.
like moved all the insects for everyone. And then at my jobs, I've always been the one who's moved all the insects. And now I work from home. So I move the insects, but in my own home, except a lot of times, honestly, my dogs will find them and
Yeah.
eat them sometimes.
I am that archetype of a person as well. Like I'm
Yeah.
with my friends of like, so that's the guy that's gonna move the insect all throughout
Yep.
my childhood. Project Dragonfly is full of people like that. I feel we're just a group of badass people, oh, in
I
different ways.
agree. Yeah. Yeah. I
I love,
like I can't remember the um saying exactly, but it always like rings true to me of something about like why should you be punished for being small?
mhm.
Or something like that. And I can't remember it. I'll find it and send it to you because I think it's really beautiful, but it's about how like just because you can kill something just doesn't mean you should. Like if
Yeah,
it's not, it's not doing
yeah.
anything to you. Um,
Yeah, I would totally agree. I'm personally fascinated by small creatures just as much as I am of big creatures. Like when I was
yeah.
young, I was kind of limited to small creatures because I just lived in a suburban area of Michigan. I lived in
Hmm.
Warren. My whole childhood was in Warren, so most of the nature I saw was in my backyard. So it was
Get
like,
out. Wait, your child is in my mom grew up in Warren.
oh, no way.
Yeah.
I moved to Troy when I was 12, and then so like ages 5 through 12 were in Warren, and then I was born in New York, but I don't remember much of it. Your mom
Yeah.
is grew up in Warren, or
Yeah,
yeah,
I'm pretty sure she grew up in Warren and then to Ortonville. And then my aunt is in Goodrich.
okay,
So yeah, I have a lot of family in Michigan.
that is awesome.
Yeah,
If you come by, you and your husband come by, let me know. We can grab some
yeah,
lunch, do some nature hikes.
yeah. That'd be dope. I'd love that.
Yeah, I love Michigan's nature, and honestly, I love everything about Michigan. The prices aren't too bad. Like I'd like to just stay here. I wouldn't mind staying here. But
That's awesome.
there is another question I wanted to like kind of a topic I wanted to dive into is
Yeah.
zoos and like just how they are perceived because I personally am not in that community, so I don't know the little details, but I know you worked or are still working at Adventure Aquarium.
I worked there. I don't
Okay,
work there
gotcha.
anymore.
Okay. Well, yeah, zoos, aquariums, I think they're needed, but I like the improvements that are being made to zoos and aquariums because like even 50 years ago they were kind of very different than they are right now, right? To my
Hmm.
understanding, like perfect specimens from the wild were being captured to be put on display back then, and a lot less of that is happening now. So I just
Hmm.
wanted to talk about this topic with you and like the different ways zoos are changing for the better.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
if you've got
think,
the time.
yeah, yeah. I think when people ask me what I think about zoos and aquariums or animals in captivity in general, I think it's a difficult answer because I would, of course, prefer that there are no animals in captivity, that they're roaming in their wild spaces.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, um, humans have made it where that's not possible for a lot of animals.
Yeah,
So I will say this first and foremost, if I'm ever going to visit a zoo or an aquarium, it should always be accredited. So you probably know AZA,
yeah,
the Association of Zoos and Aquariums. If it's not accredited. There are less stipulations and rules that are followed, and a lot of times not as good of animal care. Not
Mhm.
always, but that is one of the regulating bodies that really helps with it. I will say, I am still a ever, I think this will probably always be my opinion. I go back and forth about how I feel about them, especially in regards to larger species that are kept captive, and
Mhm.
especially to um, more sentient beings that we are aware of. Like you were talking earlier, like we have no idea like what a spider is thinking, right?
Yeah.
So like for us to say like, oh, elephants are so smart, but a spider is not, we don't necessarily know. Oh, I just realized there's rainbows on my face. My rainbow,
Oh, I see the
whatever
rainbow on your face
crystals.
right now.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
like reflecting onto my
That
face.
looks cool.
Yeah, I think there's one right there.
That's like
Um, I always like to have I have like a disco ball right above me as well. So when the sun
nice.
hits it, I like to have disco hour because it makes me feel better.
Yeah,
My
whatever
whole
makes your
like,
environment better.
yeah, you can't really see it, but all in front of you, I have like all my plants and I have like all my things that make rainbows in the room. And anyway,
No,
sort
no
of
problem.
back to zoos.
Yeah.
I think it's really important that we create spaces that make us feel happy and back to that childlike sense of wonder.
Mhm.
Disco balls and rainbows are a part of my childhood. So anyway,
Nice. No, I think kids need that. If kids don't have access to zoos, like how else are they going to see some of these animals?
yeah,
Can't
yeah,
travel to Africa like in a week.
right.
So there's
Yeah.
a
So
lot of good
I,
things.
yeah, yeah, I think there is a lot of good they do. I think there's parts where I can't think of the correct word. I don't know if it's weary about like, so a lot of AZA zoos have SSPs, which are the species survival plan.
Mhm.
And so for some animals, it's really beneficial because it does help the animal survive and they'll put some of the animal back into its wild space. But I kind of wonder sometimes, um, what are we surviving these animals? Like, there's no place for these animals to go.
Mhm.
What are we what are we keeping them for? Not, I'm not saying I want them to die out. That is not what I'm saying. But these efforts, and this is not all zoos, this is not all aquariums, this is not all species survivals plans. But if we're not looking at like the problems of to why we have these species survival plans,
Yeah.
where like what are we, if all the habitat is gone for elephants and they can't go anywhere, what are you saving that genetic variation for? And
Yeah.
I'm even like, I don't know, I'm even like working it out in my brain as I'm talking to you about it
No
because
problem.
I feel conflicted, I guess is the correct word. I'm conflicted about zoos and aquariums a lot. I also know their benefit. I think they're great for kiddos. I think they're great for adults. They have great education systems. Um, but yeah, sometimes
Especially
I,
for kids too. Like, my earliest memories at the Detroit Zoo are like seared into my mind.
yeah,
So
and
yeah,
that's
there's
amazing.
a lot of good that they provide. And I just like I think they should I don't think zoos should be gone. I think they should still be here, but I love the improvements being made to them. Like responsible consumption. I got a little website pulled up here because of the
Mm,
Cincinnati Zoo, they have a farm, 145-acre farm where they're doing renewable energy and they have zero waste programs. They have
love.
sustainable, what does it say here? Sustainable construction and all these different avenues of improvement to where zoos could be totally different than what they were in the mid 1900s.
Yep,
Moving forward, they could be like way more like connected to actually the environment and supporting the environment. So it's
yep,
less of like an animal in a cage, more of like an
yep.
animal connected to its environment. So it's just cool to see that. Like I know some zoos feed their carnivores like roadkill, and that's just
Hmm.
such a good usage of roadkill, you know what I
Yep.
mean? Like instead of feeding it like, especially not from factory farm sources, that would be very kind of like contradictory. But yeah, responsible consumption, hydroponics. Cincinnati Zoo is doing so much. It's got me thinking of driving down there and like just emailing them, doing like a video about like sharing everything that they're doing. They're like one of the
I,
greenest zoos in America.
yeah, Cincinnati
Wow.
Zoo is like at the forefront, right? So like when I'm saying I'm not negative things, I'm just talking about what is the ethicalness of zoos, I guess.
Oh, I got that. Yeah.
Cincinnati Zoo is like the top bar though, right? That
I did
people
not
want
know
to
they were the top.
I
Like
don't
I'm
know if they're the top, but in my opinion, they're one of the tops.
gotcha. Okay.
And I'm pretty sure they are. Very well known for like their programs, and I'm pretty sure zoos emulate after them. Don't quote me on that because I don't actually
Mhm.
know, but I'm pretty sure a lot of zoos look to Cincinnati Zoo. Um,
Gotcha.
but yeah, no, I think zoos and aquariums have come really far from what they used to be. Like, case in point, I volunteered in, or I was an intern at my local zoo in Tucson when I was going to college or when I was going to undergrad. And the sun bear there that I worked with, who was my soulmate, she was so beautiful and perfect.
Sun bears
She
are
was
good.
taken care of by my dad when he used to work there.
Oh wow.
And back then, they fed her like strawberry milkshakes or something, which is not a dietary, right? They just didn't have the knowledge. And
Yeah.
now, like, well, not now, she's passed since, but she then had like a way better diet when I was there, right? So, like, even just in a generation of humans, the knowledge of caring for animals has increased. And then also the understanding of like creating that's why I like the Arizona Sonora Desert Museum so much is creating spaces that the animals can be natural in,
Yeah.
which I think also leads me to like a lot of times I have an issue with like, why is a polar bear living in Arizona? You know, like
Yeah.
my childhood zoo growing up had polar bears. Um, and
Makes no
like
sense because
I don't really like that.
yeah, I
I
don't either.
I don't love that. And but I do think like the Arizona Sonora Desert Museum, where it's all native animals, I think that's really important too, because it is fun to see a panda or a polar bear and an elephant.
Yeah.
But like to actually know the animals that live in your backyard, I think is much more impactful
Yeah. And
to
it
like
that's
everyone. Because not
exactly.
because everyone is impacted by the wildlife that lives around them, but not everyone is impacted by a panda bear, you know?
Yeah, it adds a sense of wonder too for when you travel, because then you get
Yeah.
to see what's native to that area instead of
Mm-hmm.
just like we have like we want to just get everything we want right here, but
Yep.
it's better to respect nature's cycles. This is with food, this is with certain species of animals in zoos. Like, yeah, it would be cool if every zoo was more native focused.
Yeah.
Because then because like you can't run out of things to learn about in your own native environment. Each
Right.
ecosystem is so complex and amazing. And then you make a little drive to this next state over and you see like the vast differences, and that would be a cool way to do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it's just to add on to the polar bear in Arizona example. When I used to keep reptiles, like I always look for reptiles that didn't need like added humidifiers and stuff because
Hmm.
like I would keep those species that require high humidity if I lived in Florida. And I wouldn't
Right.
even need to buy a humidifier. I'd just like build an outdoor because Florida is hot and humid year round for the most part. And I know a lot of reptile keepers on social media where they're in Florida and it's so much easier. They don't have much added input. I once bought a skink,
Oh,
adorable
I love
skink.
skinks.
Yeah, I love them too. It's like so cool. I would just like I was so mesmerized by the colors and such a like calm attitude. But I realized the subspecies of Australian, no, it wasn't Australian, it was like Indonesian. The subspecies I got required a much higher humidity level than what I thought I bought. So then I was like, I was having to mist the substrate like so
Mhm.
often that I'm like, this is just not, it just doesn't seem right.
Right.
I would
Right.
rather have a more Australian subspecies. So I realized this after I got her, so I gave her back to this pet shop, Lou's Pet Shop, awesome pet shop. Um, I gave her back. They gave me full price and everything because it was just a misunderstanding. I thought I got the other subspecies.
Yeah.
But yeah, that just goes back to showing like how much easier it would be if you got species for that environment. Like now you
Right.
don't need these. these humidifiers. You don't need like
Yeah. You don't need
cooling.
air conditioning units.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that takes a toll. That's a huge carbon footprint. If you're trying to
Yeah,
create
that's a
a
great point.
whole, yeah, area for a polar bear to be cold in Arizona, it's
Hmm.
just like kind of at that
It's
point,
like wild. It's like,
yeah,
what are you doing?
yeah. But
It doesn't quite make sense. But I also don't remember their story. I don't know if it was a problem bear, and then I have no
mhm,
idea. I don't even know if there's, I
yeah.
don't know. But
And there's also
yeah,
like a reason, like another side of it is like the people that form the connections to the animals. You can't just immediately like displace a zoo because like certain zookeepers have formed bonds with certain animals there. Because I personally have formed very strong bonds with animals in my life, so I know what that's like.
yeah.
Yeah, it sucks when people are saying your whole zoo should not exist because there's some
Hmm.
proponents that are totally against zoos. I'm not totally against them. I just think I like how they're being improved, you
Yeah.
know. So like
Yeah, no, I agree.
yeah.
Also, I don't understand people who are very against zoos and want animals to be in the wild. It's very like short-term thinking, and also like you're not thinking of the reality that this animal literally can't survive in the wild. Or
Yeah.
like also at my hometown zoo now, there's grizzly bears there that were problem bears, and they would have been killed.
Oh,
So it was either they get taken to a zoo or they get dispatched, basically. These rainbows are like wild.
oh yeah, they're like in your eyes.
I can't get rid of them. So rainbows
Um,
it is.
yeah, that looks cool though. Yeah, I agree. There's just it's way more complex than just saying they shouldn't exist.
Yeah.
And yeah, but like improving them is the way to do it. And that's actually what's happening, it seems, with like these little zoos making different improvements in different ways. Like
Mm-hmm.
the different ways they're pouring their money channels into different conservation efforts, maybe in other areas. That's also really cool.
Yep.
Um, so yeah, I think everything's on the right trajectory here with conservation, and it's just this gradual change because it's just so complex. That's why I like to focus on like my project. What am I doing to contribute to it? So, like I told you, I want to just own a farm. I want to own a regenerative farm. That's like my
Yeah.
main goal. And then before then, I want to become a full-time filmmaker because I think that's a good order to do it in. Like if
Mm-hmm.
I was responsible for a farm right now, it would make me so money minded. Like I'd be having to think about how to make money selling eggs and stuff. But I want to do it for the sheer wonder of it. Like I want to do it after I have the money to where
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to like focus on the business side of it like that vigorously.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. It can be more of a hobby and a lifestyle instead of your job.
Yeah, exactly. I don't want to make that my job because that's like where I get the most fascination of like we have a little bit of land here, not even 1 acre, but I'm
Mm-hmm.
using it to the maximum. Like I do regenerative farming here. Uh, there's some videos on my channel where you'll see how I keep my chickens, and
Yeah.
yeah, they're just in this big diverse situation of plants growing out. So they're like in this jungle. It's like a almost like a mini Jurassic Park. So it's like really cool for me to just get a chair, sit there and watch my chickens in that ecosystem,
Yeah. It's really
watch
cool.
them find bugs. Yeah. So I just want to do that at a bigger and bigger scale.
Yeah.
Almost like a Jurassic Park situation going on where it's not dinosaurs, but it's like because we have a deck out here and my family,
Uh-huh.
when we invite people over in the summertime, there's a table, there's chairs, we'll eat out there, and right underneath the deck is like this area where the chickens are roaming through. And it's just magical because like you'll be eating and then you'll be seeing these chickens darting around or just when they're fully grown, they look beautiful in the sunlight, the Rhode Island Reds
Yeah.
just like in this situation where it's like you're kind of at a zoo almost, but
Right.
it's just
Yeah.
yeah.
That's cool. I mean, what are chickens if not present day dinosaurs? So
Yeah.
it
I
can
got
be
this
Jurassic Park.
yeah, I got this really cool shot of my turkeys because I have we kept turkeys, ducks, and chickens in our land here.
Nice.
Because the Troy City Council let me slide with that. But anyways, the turkeys, their feet I got a really cool shot of their feet where I just panned up slowly, and it literally looks like CG dinosaur feet. Like,
Yeah,
because the way the sun was in that shot, it looked like dinosaur feet. I love that. That's one of my best shots that I personally like the most.
that's so cool.
Yeah, we kept four turkeys last summer that we had to process them before they got to full size, but I'm not even
Hmm.
allowed to keep turkeys here, so I'm glad I got to even do that. Um,
Hmm.
but yeah, we had to they were about 20-ish pounds. So they had another like I don't know, 10 pounds to go in terms of being full size, but we had to dispatch them there because they can grow. We had what is it called? Bronze breasted turkeys. That was the breed, and so they would grow to be like 40 pounds. The males would, but it was a fascinating thing to witness, like because they were this big when I got them, and I had
Aw,
a heat lamp, a brooder. It was just like I was keeping reptiles basically, except
yeah.
birds, but and there was a purpose behind it instead of just keeping it. There's a purpose behind it, and that's just like for me, that's what really I feel like I belong in this niche where yeah I'm raising animals but it's also for a purpose similar to Maasai why they raise animals
Hmm.
but it's hard to explain that to people who have never done it. It's like they're thinking like wait, don't you love these animals? Don't you like why would you end up eventually wanting to kill it and eat it? Well, why I didn't bond with the turkeys. Like I just made sure they were being very well taken care of, but I didn't stick around
Hmm.
too much to see like the individual personality traits of each one because I made that
Hmm.
mistake before. I bonded with two of my chickens, which I ended up not being able to kill them. I just gave them away to the Michigan Humane Society, so they're in someone's property now where that person that took them, they don't eat meat or anything, so they're just living
Hmm.
out their lives there. Um,
Nice.
yeah. But yeah, so that's like I still love these animals. I'm just not trying to connect with them in that way where it'll be difficult because farming is different than having a pet, you know. But it's
Hmm.
definitely possible for me to bond with them quite easily. I once bonded with a quail because I incubated quail eggs and hatched out quails. I built a quail
Cute.
coop and everything. Yeah, initially all of this was for making like producing livestock, eggs, meat. So I didn't intend on bonding with any of these quails, but one of the quails hatched out with like a crooked neck.
Hmm.
So I had to make a decision there, like this thing is not going to make it. But so like I put a divider because the other ones were picking on him. I named him Sweetie, by the way. So yeah, I don't know where that name came from, but so I put a divider the other to prevent the other ones from picking on him, and I just had
Hmm.
to give him a lot more additional care. So like I had to buy a pipette and feed
Yeah.
him because he couldn't drink out of a bowl because he would tip over
Hmm.
and drown. Um,
Aw.
yeah, even like a little dish with a centimeter of water was dangerous for him because
Aw.
he would fall like that and then it would go in his mouth and nose and stuff. So I was like, yeah, I'm not risking that. So every 2 hours, droplets of water, make sure he was hydrated. And he actually grew out fine. And his neck never straightened out fully. So he always kind of walked with a little bit of an imbalance, but mentally he was all there.
Yeah.
There's like a syndrome for that. It's like a 5-10% chance of your quail being born like that. And so he was like that. And then over the course of like doing all this extra work, I did research like how to help his neck and stuff. And I bought selenium because it was like a selenium deficiency that
Hmm.
caused the neck to straighten out. That's at least what I figured out. So I
Yeah.
found egg yolk, did all this extra work to make sure he would thrive and be healthy. And over that
Yeah.
course, obviously, I bonded with him. So he just became a pet, just like my cat. And
Yeah.
my whole family loved him. And he just died of natural causes. But he lived pretty long in terms of quail life.
Yeah.
But yeah, like
That's so fun.
yeah, so it's like animals are you can definitely bond with I think any animal. Like
Hmm.
but it's just a different form of connection to nature when you raise them for livestock because you're not like getting to know each individual one. You're just kind of like raising them, part of the environment. Um, but yeah, I try not to like focus too much on their personality when I raise livestock because yeah, I can get attached to animals very fast.
Yeah, I
Uh,
imagine that would be hard.
yeah, but it's cool to see like the Maasai, how they do it, like the kids. It's not like they didn't like their livestock. They respected their livestock, you know. But yeah, it's like a tricky balance to explain to people. Unless you've done it yourself, you can't really know what that's like. The main thing
Hmm.
is you gotta respect animals. You gotta
Yep.
respect them, and you gotta make sure they live the best, most natural lives that you can provide them. Because
Yep.
if you're keeping them, you are their kind of god in terms of like what they get to eat, where they get to live, what their
Hmm.
conditions are. It's all up to you. It's a very big responsibility. Can't be
Yeah.
taken lightly. Um,
Right.
yeah, especially fish. Like people abuse fish. Like they just like limited knowledge. They get a goldfish, put it in a bowl of water, and that's it. And it's like
Yep.
there's so much that goes into keeping fish, like the water
Yeah.
chemistry and stuff.
Right.
Once you learn it, it's amazing. Like aquascaping on YouTube.
Mhm.
I go on
Yeah.
aquascaping binge videos.
Yeah, I
You
love
do as
that. It's
well.
like so calming to watch too.
Yeah. Yeah, because they created this awesome environment for those fish. And there's like the
Hmm.
nitrogen cycle, the beneficial bacteria, the live plants sucking in all the ammonia, waste products. It's
Yeah.
just so mesmerizing to look at those types of aquariums.
Yeah.
And then I want to relate that to farming as well. Like aquaponics is something I want. So
Mm.
aquaponics is basically in the most simple way, your dirty fish water, instead of tossing it down the drain, put it in your plants. That's it.
Yep.
That's all
Yep.
aquaponics is. And so I just want to add a little bit of aquaponics in this dream farm that I want.
Yeah. Get some tilapia in there.
Yeah, that it's like a common fish I see used in aquaponics.
Yeah. Yeah. My aunt's a teacher, and the school she taught at, they had aquaponics with tilapia for the kids to learn about the nitrogen cycle and all these different things, which was really cool.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's
I
cool.
I
That
have
sounds like the perfect dream.
Yeah, I have these ideas for aquariums where it's not tilapia, but it's like it's a beautiful aquarium, just like how you would want to make an aquarium. Angelfish, tetras, all of that. And
Mhm.
just the dirty fish water from there being used into your plants, where the
Yeah.
aquarium itself is just like stunningly beautiful. It does a lot of
Mhm.
good for the mental health of anyone who looks at it. So
Yeah.
that's something I want to do. Add that I'm doing it right now in my basement. I have three freshwater aquariums, and every time I
Oh,
get
nice.
dirty water, I just pour it into various pots of plants that we have or directly onto the grass. You
Yeah.
can literally see the grass in that area get greener than the rest.
Really? Oh,
Yeah,
that's
clear,
wild. I was going
clear
to
as
ask if
day.
you
Yeah.
noticed a difference. That's cool.
Is there any topic you would like to talk about? I've basically covered every big thing that I wanted to talk about, except for one. I got one more.
I don't think so. I feel like we covered a lot of different things.
Yeah, it was a really fast flowing conversation. Thank
Yeah,
you for doing this.
of course.
Oh, this is the last thing I want to mention. It's a quick little thing, but
Okay.
Instagram is I've been using that as my blog right now because I have a personal website with a blog section, but I get like six readers there and they're like my friends and family. So I
No.
just wanted to make it more quick access to people. So I've
Mhm.
just this is just like a little experiment I was running to make my Instagram captions the actual articles. So like I just wanted to
Mm.
see because now you don't have to click on a link and do all this extra work. It's just boom right there. So that's part of the reason why you've been seeing why I got these extremely long captions of my recent Instagram
Mm.
posts. It was just like a
Yeah,
little experiment I was running,
I think
trying to,
that's a good idea. I mean, you
yeah.
could also like tease with the big part of it, and then the rest of it is like, then you can go over to the blog to read
Oh
more,
yeah, I
you
used
know?
to do that as well. I used to do that as well. Right now,
Yeah.
see, all my time and effort is going into long form YouTube content creation. I'm at this point where I have these videos like literally like waiting to be finished and posted that
Mhm.
I know they're going to do well. Some of them have to do well. And if they don't, I just got to retry it. But I'm holding on to a lot right now. And it's just making me anxious. I got to finish it. I got to publish it and then get into that flow of just like making videos and not looking at the view count. Just get
Yep.
the engine going, that
Yep.
creation engine. Yeah.
Yeah.
Long form YouTube. That's my choice of content creation. And eventually I want to do other stuff. TikTok is a big thing I'm considering, but after my I figure out how to do long form on YouTube. Because you guys mentioned on the Ross Safari podcast how it's important to do create work on a platform you actually enjoy being on. And for me, that's YouTube.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Like I love long form content on YouTube. So I just like to be conscious of like what I click on and like watching it slowly and just understanding the person's work.
Yeah.
I'm like that. I like to read books still and just like slow down a bit, get deep into things instead of just superficial, very fast. But that's just me. I think TikTok's good too. But I want to chop up my long form into TikToks and Instagram Reels. So that's later on.
Yeah,
But
that'll totally work.
yeah,
Also, once you have your dream farm, that'll be great content too.
I know, right? I want to do this like like a actual show. Like, do you know the show Down to Earth on Netflix with Zac
No, I don't
Efron?
think I know that one. Let me look it up.
Down to Earth. Wait, I think it was called. Hold on. Yeah, Down to Earth with Zac Efron.
Oh yeah, I've been meaning to watch this actually. Did you
Yeah,
like it?
yeah, I love it. Like, it inspires me. Like when I think of a show, like I would love a show like that. Or Meat Eater by Steven Ranella.
Mm-hmm.
Just like that style of because he has episodes with Steven Rinella where he goes to Guyana and stuff, and he's
Uh-huh.
like the local tribes, and that is such fascinating content, and it's in the TV series format, and he's just like hunting with them or fishing with them. They caught like a payara, they caught piranha. So if done right with the right team, it can be something that's very entertaining and
Right,
educational to watch.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like I learned a lot from this show, Down to Earth.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
cool. I'll have to give it a watch.
And it's entertaining and it's a perfect blend of entertainment and education, this show, because
Yeah.
it's just like it's funny because Zac Efron is with this other guy who's a like an older guy. He's an author. He wrote a plant book about plant power. He loves plants. And the combination of those two, they're always making fun of each other, and it's just like
Nice.
humor interspersed throughout the
Yeah.
information. So it's a great show. Highly recommend.
Awesome. I will put it on my list.
Yeah, and I gotta learn how to intersperse humor in my work. I know you're better at it than me. Like you're a pretty funny person, I would say. So I gotta learn how to be less serious because I can get serious and then just be like super serious with my work. But if I can
Yeah.
throw in a bit of humor in the right spots, just like eases the tension.
Yeah. It's,
So,
I
yeah,
don't know. Also, it's okay if you're serious, we all have our who we are. So,
yeah. I can be funny. I just forget to be funny sometimes.
no, yeah. No, I mean, I know you can be funny because we hung out for a long time, but
Yeah,
I think you also get really like invested in things and are very passionate, and that comes off too. And that's also very like cool to be a part of. So
okay.
don't discount what you already have?
Gotcha. Thank you. Because I just
Yeah,
see the power of humor sometimes, like to make everything better.
absolutely.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
No,
So
I absolutely. I, in all the interviews I've ever done, I always talk about humor and how it is benefits what I do.
yeah.
So
Do you have, well, do you watch comedy at all?
sometimes,
Okay.
honestly, like ever since starting grad school, I mostly just watch like repeats of things I've already watched to
Okay.
like completely let my brain melt into oblivion. Um, because it's like I need a
Yeah.
break of not thinking of literally anything. Trying to think, I just watched a Netflix special with a comedian. What is her name?
I think I told you on the EE that you should be a comedian, and you were like, no.
You did say that.
Yeah.
I that is like the best compliment I've ever received. I've never thought of myself like that at all.
Like,
So
I'm
that is
like asking you to be one, but I'm saying if you were to be one, it would be good because I feel like your humor shows when you're just naturally being yourself, which is a lot different than being on stage with a mic. But
yeah.
yeah,
Right. Thank you. Thank you. I actually had some person I met at work the other day who was like, I really like your brand of humor. And I didn't know what to say to that. I was like, what do you mean? What is the
very
brand of
situational,
humor?
situational on the spot. Yeah,
Yeah. Mostly just trying to make myself feel comfortable, I think.
gotcha.
So I just make a joke. But yeah,
Oh, I
that's,
wanted to leave off this podcast with a quote, and I have the
oh
quote
yeah.
on my phone. Yeah, this is a quote from Mo. Wait, he's a German writer. His name is Wolfgang von Goethe. I don't know how you say
Mhm.
his last name, but
That's okay. You don't know German. Or maybe you do, and I don't know that.
yeah, the quote yeah, I really liked it, so I just wanted to share it because I feel like it's
Yeah.
a good timing for like all this anxiety that we have as creators. So it's magic is believing in yourself. If you can do that, you can make anything happen. Yeah, I just like it because he's one of the greatest German writers in the German literature history. So yeah, that made me feel good. It's like, let's just
Yeah.
chill out for a second, stop thinking so much about the future, and be present in the process of creation. And that's what I'm about to jump right back into it.
Yeah. I
After I
love
take
that.
a break, though. Yeah, I
Thank you for
need
sharing that.
breaks.
I think that's beautiful. It's easy to get in our own way sometimes. So
Yeah, this was a great podcast. So yeah, it was longer than intended. So sorry if I went over your time limit.
you're
But
fine.
yeah,
You just
this
have to
was
go back
great.
to work.
No, oh, you're back to like not Adventure Aquarium, right?
No, for Green Philly. I work from
Okay.
home mostly. So earlier today, I was working in the city
Okay.
with my colleagues, and then now I just need to work from home on my computer, but it's
Mhm.
fine.
Okay,
That's the
gotcha.
nice thing about working from home. Is I can work like, you know, past the normal time or whatever.
I'd love to learn more about that if you have the time. And even if you have opportunities for me to do part-time work, like I'd just like to keep open to that. I know I'm just like a creator myself, but I just wanted to learn more about that industry. So,
Yeah.
and if you know people that you think I could benefit from networking with, like I just told you my plans of kind of where I want to head, the shows that I'm inspired by, Down to Earth with Zac Efron. I know you work with like National Geographic and p big companies like that, but if you
Yeah.
think someone I would benefit from networking with, send them my way.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I will. I don't know if I've met anyone in regenerative farming, but you should look up Farmer John. It's
Okay.
JAWN.
Hmm.
She's one of our big local Philadelphia farmers. She doesn't do livestock. She does, well, I can't think of the correct word. She does like vegetables and flowers and things like that.
You said
Um,
JAWN?
yeah, Farmer John. Her
Okay.
name is
Okay.
Christina.
I think I
Um,
got it. Yep.
and she's really cool. And the whole organization is really cool. It's a good way of like including your community. Her whole thing is connecting urban people to where their food comes from. So,
Okay.
like to increase people's physical health, to increase people's mental, environmental health.
Yeah.
Um, it's like a really cool concept. So that's like one place that immediately comes to mind that you should just look at.
Yeah, I will.
Because you're like really into educating people about that. And she is also very big on educating people on their food system. So you should look
Okay.
into her. She's very cool. You could go look at her social media too for some inspiration.
Yeah, I will, definitely. For sure. And
Yeah.
one of the ways I wanted to add humor into this next video is I was talking about how eating junk food, processed foods, it goes all straight to your thighs. I just forgot to mention
Mhm.
that. And I wanted to show the Squidward image where his thighs were huge in that one episode.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Like I'm trying to mix in those images in my videos.
Amazing.
But
Yeah.
yeah.
Put some memes in there. Everyone loves a meme.
Yeah, I realized like there's no copyright on memes. It's like a whole nother thing I haven't tapped into. I could be
Yeah.
meming up
Yeah.
my videos, my long
Yeah.
form videos.
Meme them up. That's a perfect way to add humor in after the fact, you know?
Yeah, and movie clips. You know, you can use
Mhm.
like if it's like less than 5 seconds or
Yeah.
something, you can use it,
Yeah.
no
So that's
copyright.
where you could put in our interview, you could put the da, 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 da. You
Oh
could put the
yeah, yeah,
music part.
definitely. Awesome. A lot of ideas you've given me to think about and encouragement. So thank you. And I hope I encouraged you as well with the work you're doing. I know
Yeah.
you guys are we were basically just talking about me because of how anxious I was when we started this, but I also want you to
No
succeed.
worries.
Yeah. So keep up the good work.
Thank you, Sadat. Yeah, no, it was a good conversation. I'm glad I got to see you again.
Yeah, I
And
got to
I'll
see
see
you as
you
well.
again soon, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm down to do this again. We can get more people and yeah, that EE group I want to stay connected to. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Everyone's really good on that one.
Yeah.
Best EE ever.
Yeah, it was a special group.
Yeah, it really was. Cool. Well, you have a good rest of your day and a good rest of your week, and I will talk to you soon, I'm sure.
Awesome. Yep. You as well. Good luck with
Thanks,
your work.
Sadat.
Yep. Bye.
Bye.